following the unveiling of the Galaxy Z Fold 6 Special Edition, a foldable smartphone that puts a priority on thin design. Samsung is researching a Galaxy S25 Slim for release in 2025. The revelations come from South Korea's ET News, which alleges that a thin version of the Galaxy S25 could be offered in a limited number of territories to test market response ahead of a complete debut with the Galaxy S26. That means that the three primary Galaxy S models will remain the three models that will take to the stage at any Galaxy Unpacked event early in 2025. Samsung has traditionally conducted a Galaxy Unpacked launch event at the start of each calendar year. 2024's first edition took place in mid-January, and there are no indications that the corporation is revising these plans for 2025. The Samsung Galaxy S25 leaks and speculations aren't showing any signs of stopping, ahead of an official debut slated in January 2025. And the most recent sneak glimpse of this series comes courtesy of three phone cover leaks. As provided by famous tipster Roland Quant, the cases give us some clues about the designs for the Galaxy S25, the Galaxy S25 Plus, and the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, replacing the same three models in the Galaxy S24 series. Some of the design decisions we can see here match up previous rumors. The case for the Galaxy S25 Ultra, for example, features corners that are more rounded than they are on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, a change that we'd already heard was coming. We can also see the button positioning is the same as on the existing models, thus unlike the iPhone 16, the Samsung Galaxy S25 won't be getting any additional buttons this time around. Any design modifications that are included are expected to be very small. As both casings include cutouts for the rear cameras, we can tell the camera modules are going to more or less follow the same format as this year's models. Triple lens back cameras for the S25 and S25 Plus, and a quad lens rear camera for the S25 Ultra. Our Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra review will inform you that the present camera setup is an impressive one in terms of captured photo and video quality. Two of the four cameras are presumably in line for an upgrade next time around. We've previously seen from multiple leaks, including the emergence of three fake units, that the 2025 flagship Galaxy phones will look quite similar to the 2024 counterparts, albeit it looks as though the updated models are going to be slightly smaller. Phone manufacturers normally send schematic information to accessory producers ahead of time, so they can get their wares ready for launch day. Thus, we can be relatively assured that the Samsung Galaxy S25 designs are going to match the cases seen here. We know the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra is going to be powerful, that practically goes without saying, but precisely how powerful is less apparent. Now though, we have a slightly better understanding, thanks to an early benchmark. A screenshot of a Geekbench result for what's supposedly a US edition of the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra has been posted by leaker Jukanos Reeve, and it displays 12 gigs of RAM along with incredibly high scores, with a single-core result of 3,148 and a multi-core score of 10,236. To put that in perspective, the average single-core score recorded by the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra is 2,137, and the average multi-core result is 6,680. Therefore, the results reported in the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra test are considerably higher. The multi-core score, at least, is also greater than the multi-core score recorded by the iPhone 16 Pro Max, with that phone obtaining an average single-core score of 3,392 and an average multi-core result of 8,352. So in other words, the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra might be shockingly powerful, but could is the crucial word there, as this is just one benchmark, so it could be an exception. In actuality, it's merely a screenshot of a putative benchmark listing, so it could even be phony. Plus, an older Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra benchmark recorded lower, but still extremely high results of 3,011 for single-core and 9,706 for multi-core. So we wouldn't read too much into these latest results, but it's certainly feasible that the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra will have the iPhone 16 Pro Max beat. Either way, it's guaranteed to be quite powerful. Reports claim it will feature the Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset, and that definitely has impressive stats on paper. Today's benchmark results are greatly improved, But there's no telling what the conditions of those early tests were. All in all, take these early benchmark ratings for what they are. They often can be informative, but try not to make conclusive conclusions while Samsung is still working on the phone. It is the most anticipated smartphone of the year beside the iPhone, the Ultra version of Samsung's Galaxy S. It is typically the greatest Android smartphone, the most advanced because it is among the most powerful and excellent in photography. In 2025, the Galaxy S25 Ultra could make its grand entrance, succeeding the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Obviously, everyone wants to know what to expect from this market leader. That's good. A lot of leaks have suggested what the Galaxy S25 Ultra could be like. We have known for a long time about the edges of the Galaxy S Ultra, which are projecting. Samsung would change this year, perhaps because of comfort, which was not there for certain users. Samsung would move back slightly in the Galaxy S21 Ultra design with more rounded edges, and especially corners. In actuality, it would be rounder towards the back and flatter on the borders that join the screen. Moreover, the corners of the screen and the chassis would be rounded, much more than the corners of the existing model. The smartphone would shed a little in thickness, 8.2 mm against 8.6 for the previous edition. Those before were even at 8.9 mm, which would make it the thinnest Galaxy S Ultra ever. It would have dimensions of 162.8 by 77.6 by 8.2 mm. The S Pen would naturally still be there, embedded into the tablet. The smartphone would weigh 219 grams. For the protection of the screen, the Gorilla Glass armor would still be present. We'd also expect to have IP68 for protection to water and dust. We're probably now just a few months away from the debut of the Samsung Galaxy S25 series, and as such we have quite a good image through leaks of many of the anticipated characteristics. But one thing that has remained uncertain is what chipsets these phones would employ. Now though, it's looking very likely that they'll all feature the Snapdragon 8 Elite. That's because most recent leaks point in that direction, including today's, with reputable leaker ICE University, claiming that the Snapdragon 8 Elite will be utilized, and particularly mentioning the other two reported chipsets, namely the Exynos 2500 and the MediaTek Dimensity 9400, won't. The Snapdragon 8 Elite is the brand new successor to the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, which powered many of the year's greatest Android phones, including the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. So in many ways, it's an obvious choice of chipset. But Samsung regularly employs its own Exynos chipsets in at least certain models in some locations. And this year reports also hinted MediaTek could be in the mix, due to Qualcomm apparently charging more for the Snapdragon 8 Elite than it did for the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. So there was considerable ambiguity regarding the chipset or blend of chipsets Samsung would go for. But while we still don't have official confirmation, we'd say the Snapdragon 8 Elite is likely to be used everywhere, since not only has this latest leak said as much, but we've also heard similar from leaker Jukanosriv, who claimed that Samsung had been in negotiations with MediaTek, but has ultimately decided to only use the Dimensity 9400 for the Samsung Galaxy S25 FE. Some prior sources also pointed to Samsung moving all in on Snapdragon, with Exynos also supposedly out of the picture due to the firm having manufacturing troubles with the new processor. If Samsung does only use the Snapdragon 8 Elite in the Galaxy S25 range, then that will probably primarily be good news. It will mean for one thing that whichever S25 model you buy in whichever region, you'll get a similar amount of power, other than probable RAM variances. More importantly, the Snapdragon 8 Elite sounds tremendously great on paper, and might deliver a huge boost both to AI and gaming. And while it remains to be seen how well this processor will perform in the real world, normally the top Snapdragon models do exceed the top Exynos and MediaTek ones. The one potential disadvantage is the rumored price bump we stated above. If this chipset does cost much more than the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, which given the Elite in the name it may well do, then that increase might be passed on to consumers, making the Samsung Galaxy S25 line more expensive than the Samsung Galaxy S24 series. No big changes are planned on the screen. It would still be a 6.8-inch AMOLED panel with a maximum refresh rate of 120 Hz, with new LTPO panel and a density of 505 pixels per inch. There would also be HDR10 Plus compatibility. Samsung will continue its momentum began on the Galaxy S24 with Galaxy AI and its AI functions, particularly generative. The brand has reinforced it. It promises a hybrid AI that would employ the computer capacity of the smartphone and that of cloud servers for certain advanced activities. The phone would take care of the simplest and most common operations, while the cloud would supply computational capacity for more sophisticated tasks. One possibility is that the Galaxy S25 Ultra may finally have a variable focal length telephoto lens, moving from a 3x to a 5x, for example. However, this is information from a leak about a year old and seems doubtful at the present, even though smartphones feature this mechanism, such as the Sony Xperia -1 unveils introduced fairly recently. While there aren't any substantial modifications from earlier iterations of the Ultra, that's not necessarily bad news or a lack of creativity. Samsung's work in photography is at least as much software in photo processing as hardware. As with the base and Plus models, the Ultra model would not see its battery grow. It would have a capacity of 5,000 milliamps like previous year. But Samsung would have a secret weapon to pull out: battery Li. It is not a size 42 shoe, but a software feature. It would reduce non-essential chores in order to boost autonomy by up to 10%. As for charging, no change either, still 45 watts. Enough to recover, as for the Galaxy S24 Ultra, 65% of battery in 30 minutes. In wireless, the device would offer 25 watts and even 4.5 watts in reverse charging. As for the pricing, no announcement date has been put forward by leakers. Here again, it is too early. We will have to wait a few more months before seeing a date surface. However, it is expected that the Galaxy S25 will be launched next January, in the second half of the month. Indeed, it would be after the conference in Las Vegas, but before the MWC in Barcelona, and the announcements of other brands on the margins of the exhibition. So if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more exciting tech news and updates. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.